You're in a good place now. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Tonight we're talking about the misconstrue of love, what it is and what it isn't, and why we've gotten so utterly confused. You know, I thought about this a few weeks back, and I thought about this a few months ago, and I decided this is the perfect time to do a show on how we've misconstrued what love really is, and how we've gotten so confused by love that we think that certain things are love and certain things aren't, and we misconstrue what people say. And we have a tendency of assuming that when people say certain things, they're in love with us, or they want to have sex with us, or whatever. But we've gotten confused about what love really is. And so I want to talk about that tonight. I want to talk about where it all stemmed from, how it all began. I want to define what love is, define what love isn't, and also just clear the confusion out. Allow all of us to understand exactly what it is, when it's there, what it's all about, and better yet, how we can love, and how it's not some sort of weird deal. You know, a lot of us, it's based on our childhood. Everybody, honestly, to some degree, loves and responds certain specific ways based on the way that they were raised, based on the way that they were shown love, based on the way that they acknowledge things, based on the way that their family dealt with it, based on the way that their father or mother hugged them or didn't hug them. Some people even say, some even my colleagues say that it goes back to breastfeeding. I don't know about all that. I don't know about that. I can see some of it, but not always. I mean, I wasn't breastfed. I came out okay. And I think that for the most part, it's all right. But if you weren't hugged and you weren't told that you were loved and you weren't unconditionally loved, right? It goes back to that. Then we'll have tendencies of misconstruing love or seeing real love as something odd. I mean, think about it. When was the last time that you were in a relationship with someone that could not be loved, did not want to be loved, did not understand why you were wanting to love them? You know, it's the same type of people that if you had a club and you invited them, they wouldn't want to be in that club because they were part of it, because they're not good enough to be in the club. When was the last time that you were in a relationship and you thought everything was going well, all of a sudden, you know, everything's good, and that person mucks it up? They muck it up because they can't be happy. They don't know how to be happy. They don't know how to be loved. They don't feel like they should be loved. They don't feel like we're good enough to be loved. And so the relationship goes down the toilet. But that's not really a relationship that you could honestly have, because that would be something that you would be constantly fighting with them to explain that they're worthy. And life is too short to constantly explain to somebody that they're worthy. Okay? It's like you got to come up to the plate at some point in time and realize that you deserve to be loved. Everybody's allowed to be loved. That's the one thing that we all need. So it's time. So let's talk about this whole misconstrue of love and what it matters to you, because this is a big deal, because you're either going to misconstrue it and confuse it, or someone else is going to misconstrue or confuse your words, your comments, your hug with something that it's not. Okay? We need to talk about that. We need to talk about that taboo of that too, because sometimes the love and everything, people think it's taboo when we're really supposed to what? Love everybody, right? We're supposed to love everybody. That's the way it is. You know, like that's how I feel. I mean, I find love and I find happiness with people, and I understand the situations, and I understand that nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. They're not perfect. We get it. But where's the love? So let's begin with the beginning. How did it all get this way? And it goes back to when we were kids. When we were kids, it goes back to when we were in our household and our family and our mom and our dad, and or your mom or just your dad or whoever raised you. And you're like, it's the way that you were raised. It was the way that you were shown love, right? And the first thing is that you were either shown attention as a child or you weren't. Okay? Or you only got attention when you did something. So either you were shown positive attention when you were doing positive things, you were shown attention in a positive light. Reinforcing doing the right thing, reinforcing being a responsible kid. On the other hand, you might not have been shown any type of attention. And that affects a child because when you're trying to get attention from a parent, and when we're kids, we understand that there's more to life and we get that there's something there, but we don't really think about that on a conscious level. So to some degree, and I'm not saying this exactly, but we kind of see our parents as gods, right? You look up to them for everything. Some of us never stop looking up to our parents as gods, okay? And, you think about it, and if you're not getting attention from the people that you consider your gods, then that's a pretty lonely world. But what if you weren't getting attention and you were clever enough and smart enough to realize that you could get attention by doing XYZ? And some of you got the attention you wanted in a positive way by doing something, maybe doing a little dance or entertaining the family, I know some of y'all out there have gone through years of therapy because the only way you got attention was by helping or making drinks or helping your dad or your mom make a cocktail, getting up there on the mic and singing a tune. And some of you, on the other hand, only got that attention when you screamed and yelled and had a full-out freak out, okay? A full-out meltdown at the grocery store is when you got attention. Now, whether or not that attention was good, I don't know about that, but you got attention. They actually looked at you. You got spoken to. And in those cases, if you can understand from where I'm coming from right now, just this perspective alone, this will shine a lot of light on a lot of the relationships that you have with people. Might even shine some light on your life, too. Because when you're not getting any attention from the people that you look up to, you figure out ways of getting that attention. Okay? So if you're getting it in a positive way or you're getting it in a negative way, one way or another, you figured out the system. However, because we want attention and because we believe that love is predicated on attention or that love and attention are the same thing. Because, some of us have dated people that they're all based on the attention. And I know a lot of men out there that are listening tonight to Perspectives know exactly what I'm saying when they think about this, because they've dated women that all they want is attention from the opposite sex. And you're going out with them, you're dating them, and y'all go out in public, go to a club, you go to a bar, and she's over there like winking and talking and making eyes and flirty eyes and everything else with every single man in the bar. And you go, man, what the heck is up with this? Well, you know what? She sees attention as love. And because obviously she didn't get enough attention at a certain age, she's looking for it now. But she never figured out the difference between love and attention because she never got either. Do you see what I'm saying? And she equated love with attention. And now she equates love with the attention of many men. Even if you're dating her, she's still going to continue to do this. Okay? This can be very rough for somebody that's not a big flirter. This can be rough for somebody, a counterpart, that doesn't see that as respectful. And this might not be a relationship that works. On the other hand, though, when we threw those temper tantrums as child to get that attention, we see that in adults all the time. We see adults all the time throw a temper tantrum in order to get attention from other people. And what happens? They get attention. They can be the biggest jerks, start the biggest arguments, and fight. And guess what we do? We give them attention. Are you okay? Just calm down. You just need to calm down. You need to chill out. You know what? You need to calm down. Or, are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help you? Can I get you something to drink? Can I make you some food? I hope you're okay. I hope you get better. It's just like, what are we doing? And so we placate and we give in to this childhood attitude. We constantly allow that to be. And it's interesting because of the intention is the basis of what we consider love. In the human condition, we have a tendency of missing the boat when it comes to true love, when it comes to real love. And later on in the hour, we're going to be talking about what real love is. We're going to be talking about attention, about our parents. Did they tell us that they loved us? Did they not? Were they huggy? Were they kissy? Were they not? Some people do not like affection, or they don't like to show affection, or they were brought up by parents that didn't show affection, right? And so you have this whole cycle. We as humans are really great at carrying out cycles that don't work. I'll tell you that. We are really good fundamentally of doing the same idiotic stuff and continuing to do it through lifetime after lifetime, through, generation upon generation. I mean, we see it in history all the time, the way we play out war, the way we deal with all kinds of issues. We do the same thing in the household. We do the same thing with our love. And it takes a real person to step up and say, you know what? No, I'm not doing this anymore. It takes a real person to see the problems in the system. It's like Superman breaking the chains. It takes a strong person to break those chains that bind us down, that hold us down from really being able to experience life on the level that we were meant to experience it at. On Perspective, there's always more answers and less questions. For more information on me, go to ashleyburgess.com, Ashley, BERGES.com. Check it out. I'm a family and marriage counselor as well as a life coach, and I can help get your life back in success, or if you are successful, we can co-create an even more successful, amazing life filled with synchronicity and success. When we return to be talking more about how we misconstrue love, what it is and what it isn't. Stay tuned. Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess. Will be back this time in 2 shakes.
Turn it up and jump in the deep end on Perspectives. Now, here's Ashley.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Tonight we're talking about misconstruing love. What it is, what it isn't, and why we've gotten so confused. Why have we gotten so confused on what love is? It's not that hard. But you know what? It's one of the most difficult things to spot. It's one of the most difficult things to understand. It's the most unknown thing in our culture. And it's the most sought out thing in the entire world. We all want what? We all want to be loved, right? That's what we want. All you need is love, right? So we all want this, but it seems to be almost like it hides from people. It's in a disguise. And so we're talking about that tonight, and I want to begin on why we got so confused, because I believe that the misconstrue of love began when we were young. Because you know what? As adults, we're just grown-up children, correct? And so what we learned as kids, we kind of take and bring into the adult life. We take what we learn as kids, we bring it into the adult life, we deal with it, we create these patterns, we follow suit, we do what we do, and all of a sudden, we're in the same boat we were. We're basically like our parents, just look a little different. Some of you look exactly the same, by the way, as your parents, but most of us look a little different, and some of you don't even look like you came from those people. We all make jokes about how your mom must have had an affair with the pool guy, or the water delivery man, or the postman, or the whoever the guy is, but you know how it is. And we all make jokes about that, but seriously, we might not look like them, but we carry these patterns, and especially these chains that bind us throughout our entire life and through the next generation, and our kids do the same thing. And so let's begin to break this chain of misconstrue of what love is, and let's do that tonight. Let's start seeing what's going on. Let's start examining the world as we see it, and let's start seeing what things are, because I think once we do, our confusion is going to be disarmed, and we're going to be able to know exactly where this all started, but better yet, how to have a more loving life, how to be more transparent, and how to understand what love is and what's just attention, really. So the first thing I was talking about back before the break was the concept of showing attention. When you were a child, when you were a kid, did your family show you attention? Did they give you attention? And like I was saying, a lot of women out there and even some men out there, when you've been in relationships with these types, you know exactly who I'm talking about. The ones that you're dating them and they literally go and flirt with every single person in that room. Every single man, woman, and child. They want attention. And they see that attention is love. Okay? Because they didn't get it. And for some of us, we were able to get attention by having a temper tantrum. For some of us, we were able to get attention from our family, which was really neat, without having to throw a temper tantrum, without having to dance, some sort of a tap dance routine, without having to know how to make the perfect gin and tonic for your dad or your mom or their friends or family that came over to the house while you're doing your talent routine. You actually just got attention for being you, a kid. Being positive and doing the right things. But there's a lot of us out there that didn't get that attention. And so we misconstrue that attention, no matter good or bad, with a feeling of love. You know, the second thing is that were your parents, were they talkative people? Were they verbal people? Did they verbalize the fact that they love you? Were you ever told, or were you consistently told, or were you never told by your parents that they love you? This is a big deal. Because if you were told by your parents and you generally felt that, that's a big deal, because you know what? You're going pretty far in life. You're able to tell people that you love them. And you mean it. And I have some friends in my life that no matter how long we've known each other, they just can't say the word love. And they can't say you behind it. They can't even use the word I in a sentence like that. And it's funny how with some folks, you know, for a long period of time, at the end of a phone call, you'll say, hey, I love you, and they hang up the phone. Or they'll say, okay. Or they'll say thank you. Or they'll just hang up. And it's wild because to me, it's kind of like continuing to keep that same pattern. Why hide our feelings? And you're allowed to love people of the same sex, of opposite sexes. You're allowed to love animals and plants and trees and the grass, and people even love their cars. A lot of people love their cars, their boats, their vans, their houses, whatever. But the thing is that everything has energy. And being able to express the fact that you love them and really mean it says something. Because, you know, in my family, we say it. And the reason why we say it, and maybe more so than others, is that my dad lost his father to a heart attack. And my dad was too scared to go to the hospital because his dad was fine, and then he ended up having a secondary heart attack and died in the hospital. My dad didn't get to say goodbye before he passed. And you know, I think my dad to a degree has held that over his own head for a long, long time. And he always told his dad he loved him, but he didn't get to say it right before he died. And I think that it's always just really burdened him. And so he made sure that he told his mom, and he made sure, and then when she passed, ever since then, he's made sure that he tells, you know, anybody in his life. And I remember my whole life as a kid growing up, even though he might have not have been around a lot, even though he might have been traveling a lot, anytime he saw you, he told you he loved you. And I got used to that. And I got used to hearing it. And I know that some of you out there are saying, well, you know what, you can say you love somebody all you want, but it ends up getting watered down. It ends up not meaning anything. And I understand where you're coming from, too, because sometimes you can say it so much it doesn't seem to have meaning, and other times people say it, and they don't really believe the words that they're saying, or they don't really have the emotion behind it. And actions do speak louder than words. I get that. But both of them, a combination, are pretty nice. It's nice to hear the words. It is. And it's nice to have the emotion behind it. And what I'm saying tonight is that this is a great combination. And one of the things that we have misconstrued love about is that because we really didn't get maybe genuine love when we were growing up, we don't really know what it is. And sometimes for some of you out there that really had no love, that you had a family that just wasn't connected. Maybe mom and dad, or mom or dad, weren't shown love by their family, and so they kind of gave you whatever they could give you. And so you're kind of grasping at straws when it comes to love. And I know for a fact, I've dated a couple people in my past, and I love them, and they're great people, but it's like they could never understand where I was coming from. And what I mean is that I actually genuinely love them, but they had never had genuine love. And I'd like to go into the next concept right now, is that love with strings or love without strings. They had always been used to that love with strings, the strings attached. I'll love you, son, if you make straight A's. I'll love you, sweetheart, if you get on the cheerleading squad. I'll love you, honey, if you make me dinner every night. I'll love you if you don't cheat on me. I'll love you only if you do X, Y, Z. And maybe I won't even come out and say it, but I'll hold it against you anyway. You're making certain rules and regulations that have to be followed by the other without the other even realizing that you have to follow that. And then you just pull back your love, whatever that is, whatever kind of love that was, and you hold it over their head like a carrot dangling over the string attached. And it's like that acceptance. It's like that love becomes that acceptance. And I think that this is where we get all confused with the love and the acceptance. And this is where a lot of folks that I see in their 30s, 40s, and 50s are still wanting acceptance from their family because they didn't get real love from them. They got love with a lot of strings attached. Am I right? Yeah. Love with a lot of strings attached. It makes you feel like you were never accepted. If I do this, then she'll be proud of me. If I do that, they won't be proud of me. If I do this, I'm going to feel guilty because I'm not being what they want me to be. Is it what they want you to be, or is it what you want to be? And the love with the strings attached is this formulation that we've created that has gotten all of us off target for what love really is. We see love as this thing, this contract. If you do this, then I'll do this. If I do this, then you do this. If you don't do this, then I'm not going to love you. And it's a very interesting situation because this happens a lot. And a lot of us are doing it without even know that we're actually doing it. That's where the problem lies. Because we're so used to being brought up with love with strings that we have taken that into our own life with our own spouse, with other family members, with the same family members that brought us up that had love that was all string-based, as well as our children. We raise our children with this strings-attached love. Oh my God, my son's gay. Oh God. Or better yet, my kid failed out on school. My daughter got pregnant. I mean, these are some big issues. I get it. It puts some people's issues, into perspective right there. But you know what? It's like, why can't we embrace the things about our children? And it's like, why do they have to be a certain standard for us to love them? And aren't we supposed to love everybody unconditionally? Aren't we supposed to consciously love people? It's like the human condition. Why would we hold back from loving our son or our daughter because of sexuality? Why would we hold back from loving our family member for something that happened 20 years ago? And it's interesting because I remember when I was younger, and I'm going to be completely frank. Well, I'm actually going to be completely Ashley. So here we go, a completely Ashley portion of perspectives. There was a time when I was younger where my dad's love was very string-based. And I'll be honest with you, it took him years to figure that out. And I know that a lot of it was based on the fact that he had abandonment issues. And so he was scared of people leaving him. And so his love was predicated on the fact that you were going to be around. And I know that a lot of people can understand where I'm coming from right now, because anytime that you've been in a relationship with someone who was scared of abandonment issues and scared of you leaving them, they kind of treat you poorly. It's like that whole concept, I hate you, don't leave me. They treat you poorly. And it's not until they realize and they grow up, and that can take a lot of soul searching. Some people never get over it. Some people never change because a lot of times people have folks that they're codependent with that aid and abet this activity. The same as getting into a relationship with someone that only got attention from their family when they had a temper tantrum at Target. And so from now on out, guess what? Your whole marriage is full of the fact of your spouse having a temper tantrum. And guess what you're doing because you're codependent? Oh, honey, anything you want, baby. I'll do whatever you want right now. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Are you okay? Are you okay? Is something happening? Did that hurt your boo-boo? Did that hurt you? Do you want me to kiss your boo-boo? Seriously, think about it. Instead of saying, get your butt up, step up, jump up to the plate, you're an adult, let's freaking look at this in normal rationalization, stop throwing a temper tantrum, I'm giving you attention, but I'm going to stop giving you negative attention, and from now on out, the next time you do that, I'm not in it to win it. Stay tuned, we'll return, we'll be talking more about how we've misconstrued love, what the confusion is, and how we can get back on track. Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back this time in 2 shakes.
This is Jake Busey, and you're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Tonight we're talking about the misconstrue of love, what it is, what it isn't, and how we got it so confused. And right before the break, I was talking about those temper tantrums. You know, we've all seen those kids throw those temper tantrums at the grocery store, at Target, at wherever, and the mom is completely like, half the moms are over there going, anything you want, honey, anything you want. I'll give you whatever you want. I'll give you whatever you want. And then you got those other few that just yank that kid right out of the store, right? And it's interesting how we give in to these things. When we give in to these things even when we become adults. Because some of those kids grew up to be adults and kept it the same. The pattern's the same, everything. Maybe even not a temper tantrum, but maybe got quiet, the quiet moment. You know those people that literally, when they get so mad, they won't speak one word the whole entire day? A friend of mine recently had a fight with his wife, and he goes, I am just so tired of this. And I said, why? And he goes, when she gets mad, she won't speak. And they were traveling a long distance. They were on about 10 or 12 hours of flight. So you know what that's like. You know, you stop and start. He had a couple of layovers, a delay. The whole day and night, she didn't speak one word. Passive aggressive. This is strings attached love here, guys. This is what this is. I'm going to get the attention from you. I'm going to make you sweat all day. We're going to be at the airport for 15 hours, and I'm not going to speak one word to you because I got you right where I want you. And to me, life is too short to go by living through that. I am not going to live in a life where I have to sit there and tippy-toe around because homegirl, homeboy doesn't want to speak because they're mad. Because they're mad and they're going to give you the silent treatment for as long as possible until you finally break. You know what I say to that? Point of advice? I'll tell you one thing to do. Leave. I'm not talking about leave the relationship at this point. I'm saying leave. If you're at home and your spouse is giving you that silent treatment on purpose to get back at you as a way of manipulating you, say, honey, I'll be back. I'm going to go run some errands and I'll see you later. And you walk out the door calmly. Don't slam the door. Leave. Go run some errands. Go to the library. Go do something. Go drive around. Go take a walk. Get out of the house. I'm telling you, this works every time. Because if you sit around and placate them and play that game, one, you're codependent. Two, they are going to mess with you for as long as they possibly can. And three, and finally, they're going to wait till you crack. And then when you crack, guess what? They got all this ammunition to go after you, okay? This isn't normal. This isn't what love is, okay? Love is, I got maybe a little upset. Let's talk about it. Let's clean the air. Let's clear the air. Let's move on. God bless you. God bless me. I love you. I love you. Okay, let's get over it. That's what love is, okay? It's not about the silent treatment. It's not about manipulation. It's not about I want to see you squirm. I want to see you sweat here at that airport while we wait for 15 hours and I'm going to look at you And I'm going to roll my eyes at you for 15 hours. Because I got your attention now. See what I'm saying? And this is how all this stuff has been misconstrued. Because we're playing a game to get attention. We play a game to get attention. And we want that attention so bad we don't care how we play it. We don't care how dirty we got to get in there and play the game. I mean, think about it. Were you told by your parents that they loved you? Did you feel the love? Better yet, go a step further. Were you hugged as a child? Were you hugged as a child? I was hugged as a child, and I'm a hugger. I mean, not all the time. I'm not one of those crazy hug all the time, but I like to hug people. I mean, come on, it's nice, and everybody likes a hug. It bonds people. It really does. It does a lot to bond people, to take it to the next level. It does a lot to bond. When you hug somebody, you really hug them. It's a big deal. And I'm a hugger, and it's probably because that's where I was raised, but I have some friends that literally, you try to hug them, and it's like they're going to freaking knock you out. You know, it's like a wrestling match over there. You try to go in for the hug, and it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie Step Brothers, but at the end of Step Brothers, after the Catalina wine mixer, okay, the two brothers start to hug, and the one is like wrestling with him, about to strangle him. And like some people feel that way, like they can't give that hug. They're so not used to affection or given affection. And I think a lot more men than women are plagued with this, because I know of a lot of women that come into my office a lot, and their husbands don't hug them. And they don't kiss them. And even some of them say, hey, if I try to hug my husband or whatever, when he's just sitting there, he gets weird. He kind of pushes me away. And I was like, so when do you have affection? Well, when we're having sex. That's the only time. Outside of sex, there's no other affection. And to me, I mean, there needs to be an affection in a relationship. Holding hands is a big deal, and it's underrated. Holding hands is just as underrated as writing a handwritten letter and sending it in the mail. And you know what's wild about that? A handwritten letter sent in the mail means more to people than almost anything. Think about it. It means more to people than like a $200 gift. Oh my God, they wrote me a letter. They put a stamp on it. They wrote it in pen. They didn't type it out and print it. It's not an email. And God forsaken, it's not a text. Holding hands with your spouse shows love. Giving a kiss on the forehead shows love. Hugging shows love. It doesn't always have to be about sex. And some of you out there are like, you know what? That's good to know, because you know what? There's sometimes where you can just show affection away from sex, and it actually grows your relationship even more. And also that affection goes a long way. I mean, I have some friends that I hug every time I see them, and they go, man, that really means a lot to me. Because they don't get hugged. And people need to know that they're loved. And hugging and, just being cool goes a long way. And that's another reason why we've misconstrued love, is that because we haven't been hugged like we should. When people go and hug somebody else, somebody thinks that they want to have sex with them. Well, you gave me a hug? Oh, you want to get laid. We're going to get down, bow chicka bow wow. No. I mean, people sit there and misconstrue this all the time. You, touch somebody on the arm, and they're over there looking like, hey, where are we going to get a room at? I mean, think about it. It's even like when you talk about love, when you say, I love you, or you say the word sweetheart, or I care about you, or I love you. And nowadays I see it way too much. Like on Facebook, I'll even make a comment on Facebook like, hey, have a great night, sweetheart, ! Next thing you know, I'm getting a direct message from that person. Hey, what are you doing tonight? What you wearing? Not the what you're wearing, but what are you doing tonight? You want to come over? You want some wine? You want to hang out? Well, I'm married. I mean, it is what it is. And, we don't live in a state that I can, be a polygamist, and I don't really follow that religion either. So, it's probably not a good idea, but I was just saying hi. So all of a sudden, my nicety of saying, hey, sweetheart, turns into she wants to get laid. And that's where love has been misconstrued, because we don't say we love each other enough, because we don't hug each other enough, because we let all these strings that are attached stay in the way of our true love and really showing real love. We don't even know what it is. I mean, some people think they get a hooker and that's real love. Some people think going to the strip bar is real love. No, I went to the strip club. You know? Fell in love at the strip club. That girl really loves me. Why? She's hot, but you know what? On top of that, she talks to me. She asked me how my day is. Nobody asked me how my day is. So is that basically what we consider love is that somebody actually gives us attention and speaks to us? Isn't that how strip clubs started? If we think about it, it's about that we didn't get... Yeah, everybody likes... Okay, most people like to look at naked people. Got it. Aside from that, aside from just looking at it, those private rooms, and besides just the sex component, is all about affection and all about attention. Okay? That's why, you know, you have all these women out there that are working at the strip bars that have these sugar daddies, because these people want not only the sex, I get it, but they also want the attention, and they want somebody listening, and they want somebody who cares. And what does that mean? That means that they love you. And no matter if that's real love or not, that's what people are looking for. So stay tuned. When we return, we're going to be talking more about how we've misconstrued love, what it is and what it isn't, and how we all got confused. And also check out AshleyBurgess.com, Ashley, BERGES.com. Check out for more information on there. Also, we're highly ranked on a lot of other sites for our show. And I do shows outside of these shows that are all live and really off the cuff, and those can be really fun. You know, as well as we're on 7 days a week in the market. So if you can't find us, you know, on this particular day, you can find us Sunday through Sunday on one station or another. And stay tuned, because, you know, Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back this time in 2 shakes.
You could be my luck.
Get in here. You're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
We'll be safe and sound.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Tonight we're talking about the misconstrue of love, what it is, what it isn't, and why we've gotten so confused. You know, we've gotten love so wrapped up into what it isn't. And we've done that because we learned it when we were kids. We learned what love is when we were kids, but we didn't learn exactly what it was. And some of you out there are highly fortunate. You were loved, you were cared for, all unconditionally, no strings attached. You were shown love by your family. You were hugged, you were kissed on the forehead, you were told that you were loved, you were shown attention in a positive light. You didn't have to tap dance for them, you didn't have to make everybody drinks, you didn't have to have a temper tantrum to get love. And on top of that, you didn't have to look for acceptance. You didn't have to look for acceptance because you already had the love and you could feel it. But for the majority of people, for the majority of you, for you, it might have not been that way. You know, a lot of times kids suffer from not receiving enough love. Some not receiving any love. Not enough attention. Never being told I love you, or only being told I love you for that person to get something, or to make somebody feel like they have giving somebody a guilt trip, better said, giving somebody a guilt trip, or using them, or there's a strings attached, as well as some people never show love, like they never gave hugs, they never kissed. And this acceptance was something that was held over their head for the rest of their life. And like I was talking about earlier, shining some light into the system right now, our system right now as human beings, as humankind, suffer from a problematic situation where we aren't loved, or we don't feel like we are loved. And we've got to end this process, because you know what? Eventually we've got to turn this around. You know, just because we weren't shown love or affection as a child means that we need to step up to the plate and be able to find that within us. And realize that when we show love and affection and no strings attached love, You know, it's like a boomerang. We get it back, right? You give what you get. And when we start realizing that it might be hard in the beginning to let down that guard. It may be hard in the beginning to show other people you love them, especially when it's not your spouse or your kids, and you go, man, this is kind of weird. I'm over here giving a hug to my mailman that I talk to every day. Well, you know what? It's just the way it is. And, you know, we can love everybody on this planet. I'm not talking about having sex with everybody. I'm not talking about, you know, touching each other. I'm talking about you can have platonic love with every single person on this planet, and you should. And when you do that, hugging someone is okay. Saying I love you and meaning it's fine too. And it's amazing, you know, how I think that there would be a lot of social ills, like borderline personality disorder is one of them, and maybe even narcissism, had they had been loved as a child unconditionally. I don't know if their condition would be existing, and I definitely know it wouldn't be as extreme. Because, you know, love changes everything, and when you feel love and you are loved, you recognize it, and you feel a power that is bigger and mightier than anything out there. Being that love is the predication, it is the feeling and the top emotion and the top thing and the top reason why we're here. Everything else kind of pales to comparison. And I think we've gotten confused, and I was talking about that earlier, like on Facebook, when you put sweetheart or hey, have a good night, sweetheart, and people go, automatically you're getting direct messages. What you doing tonight? You know, you hug somebody and they're like, ooh, she wants to have sex with me. And it's like, the sad thing is that it's not about that. It's about showing unconditional love, and sadly enough, some folks have never had it before. They don't know what to do about it. They've never felt it. They've never experienced it. And so I ask you tonight to begin to realize that there's more to life than meets the eye, and that you are allowed to love everybody on this planet. And you can begin by accepting yourself. You can begin to accept yourself and realize that love is a beautiful thing. That love is not about sex. It's a component of certain facets of love. But love does not equal sex, just as much as attention. And this is a bigger deal. Just as much as attention does not equal love. Just because you get attention from someone doesn't mean they love you. Just because someone loves you doesn't mean that they have to give you attention. Especially negative attention. And it's time to break that cycle. You know, and like what I tell clients of mine when they have kids and they have the kid give the temper tantrum in the middle of the store. And it kind of started because one day mom or dad had just been stressed out so much that when the kids started crying at the store, they started pulling anything off the shelf to get that kid to stop crying. I'm about to pull my hair out. You know, I almost lost my job today. I had my boss down my back all day. Got all this stuff going on. I got to pay bills. I'm stressed out beyond belief. Now the kid's screaming. What can I do to shut this kid up? And that's the beginning of the temper tantrum, because the kid learns right then and there, wow, look at that. Look at the attention I got. But better yet, what do they equate the attention with? So let's just say there's a teddy bear. Let's just say there's a teddy bear. And the kid sees the teddy bear. Kid's crying. Dad grabs a teddy bear, puts it in the kid's arm. The kid looks back, starts smiling. Dad's happy. He's like, okay, great, we got that. Okay. The next time you go to a store, well, it worked last time. It'll definitely work this time. Well, you know what? It works again because Dad doesn't want to have a temper tantrum in the store. And you see how this keeps going, but let's go a step farther. That bear or whatever is pulled off the shelf and handed to that child represents love to that child at that point. Hence why kids who people see as having a silver spoon, who get all this stuff, mom bought a new car for them when they turned 16, all the time, right? They see those things represent love to them, but it's not a real love. And the weird thing is that the more that the parents give them, they think that shows them love. And those kids resent that. and they see through it. And that's what happens a lot of times when these kids commit suicide and these parents and everybody looks and they go, these kids had everything. They had the whole world. Kid had a freaking brand new BMW, lived in a freaking, $10 million house. And they're over there. What's their issues? Why are they killing themselves? You know what it's probably based on? Love. They weren't really loved. And so what it comes down to tonight when we're talking about how we've misconstrued love and the confusion is that love is an easy thing. First off, you can love everybody. Platonically, you can love everybody. Got it? Good. Some people want to do more than just platonically love, but you know what? You got to get straight with you and decide what you want to do with that. Next, love and attention are not the same thing. So just because you get attention, so for some of you women out there, just because you get attention by all these men shaking your butt around, doing whatever, doesn't mean that they love you. Okay? Straight up. And if you have somebody with you that's a good person that loves you and care about them, think about that way that makes them feel. Vice versa, for some of you women out there that have men that give you the quiet treatment, that do all this stuff when they get angry with you, and they use this, and they psychologically mess with you, you know what? Leave. Say, hey, I gotta go. I understand what's going on here. You've seen it before, the white writings on the wall. I'm gonna go run some errands, you know what? And I'll be back later. And let them blow off their steam, and when you get back, I have a feeling, guess what? They're not gonna be quiet anymore. Okay, they're going to start talking. Because you've opened the line of communication, because it shows that you're not going to be codependent and sit there and wait out their mood swings. You don't have time for that. Life's too short. Okay? So we got to realize that. The next thing is that acceptance and love are two different things. If you're still looking for acceptance from your parents, there's a reason for that. You haven't found acceptance within yourself. But better yet, addressing the concept of self-love. Do you honestly love yourself? Do you honestly care about yourself? And until you honestly love yourself, and what I mean is taking care of yourself, taking care of your body as a temple, taking care of yourself, respecting yourself, not putting yourself down, getting rid of the negative talk pattern, and seeing yourself as a king or a queen, not until then can you honestly really love someone else, right? Straight up. So there's always more answers, less questions on perspectives. And from now on out, when you use the word sweetheart, it can mean anything. When you hug your neighbor, that's okay. And if people have a question and they don't understand, just let them know, hey, I'm platonically loving everybody. And that's my new deal is love. So stay tuned. If you have any other questions or if you'd like to communicate or contact me, go to AshleyBurgess.com, AshleyBurgess.com. Go on and click on the contact page, and I will definitely answer any questions or contact you for any concerns. I love to hear from you, and I love to hear some show ideas that you have as well. Stay tuned, because Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back this time in 3 shakes.